And that comes to the last major problem of the comedy. The parodies really aren't clever at all. I know that comedy is subjective and all, but it really does feel like that they were stretching for humor, or just had no idea what the hell they wanted to do. The Harry Potter episode is about trying to win a golf match against the Spaceballs, with Lone Star trying to utilize a magic putting club with a fuzzy shaft cover named Harry Potter. The Lord of the Rings episode has them trying to destroy a powerful onion ring in the cooking oil from where it came. And the Pirates of the Caribbean episode is so shallow in terms of actually trying to spoof one of the movies that you wonder why they even bothered using it as a premise in the first place, making it probably the most bland parody of the series. And don't get me started on the American Idol episode. Yes, there was an American Idol episode, and along with the Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings episodes, it's the most painful to sit through. All these reasons combined with little things like explaining the jokes.
I figured I'd find you here in the bottomless pit room.
Why?
'Cause big confrontations always happen next to bottomless pits.
They do, don't they?
And scenes of flat-out bad taste like Dark Helmet raping, not Padme, by using a mind trick to convince her to get in bed with him, makes this cartoon very not funny. The best episodes were probably the Titanic and Terminator episodes, since they feel like they have the most gags that Mel Brooks wrote. Not every episode is god-awful, I admit, but enough of them are. Speaking of Mel, he's here to reprise his roles as President Scroob in Yogurt. He performs as well as he can for his age, but even he can't save a lot of the jokes in this show. He couldn't even save the rehash of one of the movie's most famous scenes.
What's going on? What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the show?
Now, you're looking at now, Lone Star. Everything that happens now is happening now.
It is!
A new character to the mix is Yenta, Yogurt's wife. Similar to Yogurt, she's portrayed like a New York Jew, and they often get into those old married couple arguments about various things. It's actually not as bad as it sounds, since they never make Yenta too overbearing or annoying, and Mel often sounds like he's in his element when he's performing these scenes. Speaking of actors from the movie, they even managed to get the guy who played a bit character to come back, as well as Joan Rivers. I can't say I'm too surprised that they were able to get Joan Rivers. She always did have a sense of humor about herself. The guy they got to play Barf does a passable imitation of John Candy, and the prolific and underrated D. Bradley Baker replaces Rick Moranis as Dark Helmet. Another veteran voice actor, Reno Romano, plays Lone Star, but given how the show reduces the character to a more sexually obsessed frat boy than a snarky fortune hunter, his performance doesn't really imitate Bill Pullman all that well. But the one actress who I don't know how the hell they convinced to come back was Daphne Zuniga. She's the one who initially turned down the role of Princess Vespa because she thought Mel Brooks' humor was too crass for her liking, but she changed her mind when she saw how professional and dedicated he was as a director. I can only imagine what she thought after looking at the scripts that had her say things like this.
What is it about long, hard, tubular things that I find so fascinating?
You can kinda tell she's phoning in her performances, not that I blame her. Especially in the American Idol episode, where I can't believe they convinced her to sing again.
There's a star in outer space, but he's not a flaming gas ball. How I long to see his face, but I'd settle for his astronaut's embrace.
She should stick to singing bass.
Nobody knows the trouble I see.
She's a bass.
Even if she did try harder, that wouldn't have made the show any more fun to look at. The animation is just bad. It's that cheap type of flash animation with only a few dedicated perspectives for each section of the body, with most of the joints being animated like those paper dolls with fasteners stuck through the elbows and knees. Within seconds of the first episode starting, you can see Dark Helmet's sleeve on a higher layer than the glove that's supposed to be covering it. Every other episode credits a small enough number of animators that you can count them on just one hand. You can pretty much do the same thing with Secret of Nim, but this ain't exactly Don Bluth we're talking about. Now, I'm not against Flash animation on principle. I think it's no less legitimate a way to create 2D animation than hand-drawing frames on paper, and I think a number of shows have used Flash in a way that makes the animation interesting to look at. To demonstrate my point, take a look at this short from 2006. This is the Yu-Yu, animated solely by Adam Phillips, an ex-Disney animator. It's a Flash cartoon I used to watch all the time on Newgrounds.com back when I was in high school. Despite being posted 2 years before the Spaceballs cartoon aired, it is way more appealing to watch for one simple reason: effort. And that's what separates good animation from bad animation, not just good Flash animation from bad Flash animation. Even so, the animation could have been tolerable if the writing were better. Rocky and Bullwinkle taught us that good writing quality can make up for low-budget animation. Hell, take a look at Archer. Its style isn't all that dissimilar from the Spaceballs cartoon, but no one cares because they think the writing and acting are hilarious. Also, the team behind Archer does a better job hiding the imperfections of the art style with a simple application of effort. And, I can't believe I'm even saying this, but even Johnny Test has more appealing animation, despite using essentially the same style, because the paper cutout limb animation is smoother, and the seams are better hidden. And the lip syncs are better because they use a larger range of motion for the mouths. It is very rare that the Spaceballs cartoon goes out of its way to offer more flexibility to any of the characters' faces. You made me compare Johnny Test favorably to you, Spaceballs the cartoon. I hope you're proud of yourself. I don't know how this show got made. I don't know who Mel Brooks pitched the idea of this series to. I don't know how it got into the hands of the now dead G4 video game channel. I don't know how much control Mel had over the episode scripts. IMDb says he contributed to each of the episode scripts, despite not being in the writing credits of any episode, so it's still kinda hard to tell. Supposedly, Brooks' own studio and even MGM supervised the show, but the article that Wikipedia links to for that information no longer seems to exist. The most I can gather is that the show languished in a sort of production hell for about 2 years just to get these 13 episodes made. I can't find the whole story, regrettably, but it seems that a combination of executive delays, divided writer and producer decisions, and G4 promotion a year before the series actually aired led to all the problems on screen. This cartoon is shit. You wouldn't even find it in a Cracker Jack box. This cartoon is a sort of idiot who would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the combination on its luggage. It sucks and blows with the push of a switch. Watching this cartoon is like watching a monster burst out of your stomach and do a little song and dance as you die, while being surrounded by assholes laughing at you, shooting lasers up your nose. This cartoon had the wrong animators, the wrong writers, and the wrong producers.
Where did I go right?
It lacks virtually everything that made Mel Brooks' movies fun to watch, including the most important thing: respect. No matter how crass or vulgar his movies were, he was always respectful to the subject matter. Many Western movie stars loved Blazing Saddles. Alfred Hitchcock loved High Anxiety. George Lucas loved Spaceballs. They respected Mel Brooks because Mel Brooks respected them. He never spoofed a movie for the sole purpose of insulting someone or so that he could gruesomely kill a copy of an unpopular character. He may have made some jabs at some movies, and even a movie studio, but you'll be hard-pressed to find a genuine ounce of bitterness in even his worst movies. That's why his movies are called affectionate parodies, because he only made fun of what he truly respected. And that's why I'm not excited for the idea of a Spaceballs sequel anymore. Not only is half the cast either retired or deceased, if this series is anything to go by, I'm worried that he may have lost the respect he used to give. Respect for the source is quite possibly the most defining trait of Mel Brooks' work. Spaceballs the animated series has no such respect. And that is why it fails. I'm Shogun Gino, and this was Infamous Animation.
Spaceballs! Hide your air and hide your water, hide your son and hide your daughter. Here they come, it's time to run away. Spaceballs!